Good evening, fellow chefs, pitmasters, barbecuers. So we've got another charcoal test today. This is our own imported BINCHO Pini charcoal, ideal for these sorts of Conroe grills, but ideal for all sorts of barbecues really. But this is compressed charcoal, compressed from natural raw materials from wood, and it's the sort of traditional hexagonal shaped stuff. And I'm going to do a little sound test. Do it this way. Always nice to hear a sound like that, and it's nice solid material. So we're going to get this into the grills and do a little bit of cooking. So we're going to get this going. We're going to do like a burn length test and test like the other charcoal tests I've done really. But this has just arrived into the country just yesterday, so pardon the pun, but this is hot off the press, or should I say hot off the grill. So I'm going to get this lit up and come back to you. Okay, so we've got the chimney starter going. We've got the natural fire lighters in the bottom of this. The natural fire lighters I've got actually are all a bit, I've got the bits left in the bottom of the box. I've run out of the main fire lighters, so I've just scrunched them all up, which is why you can see them just sort of dropping through the grill. But anyway, this has just been going for a minute, so we're just going to let this get hot, get glowing before we put it into the hibatches, and I'll come back to you once it's glowing. Okay, we've got it going now. It took 2 extra fire lighters, because what I did was put them in the chimney starter one way round, let the fire lighters burn out, and just sort of half of the charcoal had got going, and then I didn't want to wait for the rest of the charcoal to get going, so I flipped them round and put another couple of fire lighters in and did the other side. Now these are well, they're hot enough to cook on, so they did take a little bit more effort to get going, but that's the trade-off, the fact that these burn for, well, 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours. So these have been going now for a good 15 minutes. So you can see they cook quite slowly, but that's too hot for me to hold my hand there, so that's definitely ready for cooking on. These were the longer pieces I put in this grill, so I only got one end going on these, so these are just going to take a little bit longer to get going. And we're going to have a go at cooking on both of these. I had to rush back after doing some deliveries today, actually delivering to a new customer at a hotel in the centre of Oxford, who had some Conroe grills from us and has started using this charcoal. So I had to fly by Waitrose because the meat in the freezer wasn't going to be defrosted in time. I hadn't remortgaged my house today going into Waitrose, so I came out with Wagyu steak burgers and some thin sirloin steaks. God, their good dry aged steak is bloody expensive compared to my butcher's, and I doubt it's no better. So anyway, I'm just going to prepare the meat and come back and get cooking. Okay, we've got the grill on, and we've got 4 Wagyu burgers on here. I was going to say compliments of Waitrose, but they certainly weren't free. We're just waiting for this side. Obviously you could see the burn is encroaching along the length, so I've alternated them, so lit end, unlit end, just so that it transfers across. I think this grill is going to be ready in the next sort of 5 minutes. It's certainly hot enough, it's just I want it to even out on the burn. And I've got some thin sirloins for these, so literally just going to flash it on there. But this one's going nicely. General observations were it certainly took probably twice the length of time to get going just using the normal chimney method. I know in professional kitchens you can use gas torches to get these going much quicker. I did actually go to my gas torch, which I haven't had out for a year because I always use a chimney starter, and there's no gas left in it, so I couldn't blowtorch these today. You can campfire stove them as well, or just a gas stove, just pop them on there and leave them for 5-10 minutes, and that gets the whole length of the Pini going at the same time. But because they are compressed very hard, you heard me chink them together earlier on, naturally that just means that they're slower burning, so they're a little bit harder to get going. The downside is it takes a bit longer to get them going. The upside is you get many more hours out of them compared to lumpwood. But as you can see, these are cooking away quite nicely, so I'm just going to keep my eye on them for a couple of minutes and then think about flipping them over, and we'll get the sirloin on this one. So other observations were when it was getting going, it was fairly clean with the burn, so there wasn't a lot of smoke coming up it at all. As you can see now, obviously other than the fat dripping on the coals there, which is what we want, there's no smoke coming off this at all. There's really nothing in the way of an odour coming off this. It's designed to have no odour like some of the natural lumpwood charcoals. So all in all, excellent so far, doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Well, we've got these burgers on, they're coming along superbly. Just cooking them nice and gently, giving some lovely aroma from that beef fat going on the coals. So like I say, the sirloins are very thin, so I'm going to get those on in a minute, but yeah, doing a really good job of the burgers. Okay, we're sort of 5 or 6 minutes on. Steak's done on one side, not far done off the other. Only thin pieces, so they're not going to take very long at all. Burgers are looking superb actually. So get them in the camera. So these are more or less ready, to be honest with you. So I'm going to go and eat these along with my family. When I did the last charcoal tests, we're about half an hour, 40 minutes into this charcoal being ready to cook on. Then I was sort of, most of the lumpwoods are sort of a good getting around a couple of hours, so they were sort of well into their burn time, but these briquettes are nowhere near. They've got hours left on them yet. So what I'm going to do, because I'm not going to be awake that long this evening, I'm going to pop them in my egg tonight over there, and I reckon when I come down in the morning, because I'm going to close the egg down, I think they're still going to be warm. So but the producer I buy these from states they'll last around 5 hours, and my impression is they'll have no problem reaching that whatsoever. I know sometimes Pini can go 4, 5, 6, 7 hours depending on how you treat them. Compared to my other tests as well, it's actually a very still night tonight. You can tell by the smoke, like it's not really blowing particularly violently anywhere, so it's quite a still night tonight. So anyway, I'm going to go and enjoy these, and I'll let you know in my next little report how these coals went on through the night. I might leave them in here for a couple of hours and come back in a bit. But here we go. Okay, so I've had my steak and Wagyu burger, and they were fantastic. Thank you, Waitrose. So we're about an hour and a half into these being on, hour and 25 minutes to be precise. It's starting to get dark. I don't suppose it actually looks like it's starting to get dark, but it is. So these have got ages left in them yet, so I am going to transfer some of them into the egg and see how long they go overnight with the vents closed down, and I'll report back in the morning. So very chuffed with these. Definitely going to be getting many hours out of them. I'm going to hazard a guess and say 5 hours quite comfortably, judging by how they've burnt down so far. So successful test of the new barbecue expert Pini K. So I've moved these across. One comment I thought I would make before I shut the lid down and went in for the evening is just transferring them from over there to over here. I did it just with the tongs, and they didn't break up at all. They're still in like really good solid structure, so which is another good sign. So obviously, like with lumpwoods and sort of your pillow briquettes and your standard briquettes, as soon as you try and handle them after they've been alight for an hour and a half like these have, then they just fall apart but these didn't, remain perfectly intact. None of them broke at all, and yeah, it's only a sort of small amount of the surface area that's currently burnt. So as you can see, they're glowing lovely. I'm going to put the lid down on the egg. Just have the vent open just a tiny little bit at the top, and the vent's already shut down at the bottom. So I'm going to come back in the morning and see if there's any warmth left in there. I'm fairly confident that they will be. I think they're just going to sit in there nicely through the night, so it'll be a good test. It's about 9 o'clock now, so I'll probably come down sort of 6ish, so we'll see how we get on.